All right, welcome back to CM's Garage. The other day we picked up this 1945 Farmall A. My plan is to dig in, start working on this tractor, and hopefully get it running soon. So stay tuned. Okay, so let's get you back in here. You can see I've got the hood off and we're looking at the engine. I have the valve cover off. Valve train looks good. I have the spark plugs out. I was wrong in my first video, so this is not a distributor system. This is actually a magneto. So I'm looking at that, got that taken apart. I've got a tune-up kit with a new cap and rotor coming and new points. Got the oil filter here. That'll be replaced. And I also, an update, I got the clutch moving. So I'll show you how that works. I have the shifter out, which we took out when we got the tractor home the other day. And I was able to get it out of gear and into neutral, and then we got those rear wheels unstuck. So I'll show you how that clutch is working now. And then we're gonna go ahead and get I think my next thing is, while I'm waiting for my tune-up parts for the magneto, I think we're gonna go ahead and get this carb off. We're gonna do that right now and get that taken apart, put in the parts cleaner. We'll make sure everything's clear in there. Just one step at a time. Okay, so I was looking at my gears here in the transmission, and from what I can tell, so right now it's in neutral. You have your first gear down here, second, third, and fourth, the gears at the bottom, which are kind of hard to see. If I shift this one over, I had to rock the wheels a little bit, but I got it into first gear. So what we'll do is, right now, the clutch is out. So if I spin the engine, you should see that turn. And that's how I knew that the clutch is working. And then we'll press the clutch in, and I'll show you how that doesn't turn. Really happy about that. I just took the access hatches off of the bell housing here, and I sprayed a ton of PB Blaster in there. There's also a grease fitting in there. I'll probably put some grease in there. So for now, let's go ahead and get that spun over, and I'll show you how that works. All right, so the clutch is out. This is how I know it's working. We'll go ahead and turn the motor over, and you can see how the gears are turning. So that's a good thing. Let's get up on the tractor here, and we'll get this clutch pushed in. Okay, so it's still pretty stiff, but I'm able to push it in, but it won't rebound on its own. So I feel like it needs to probably rerun, and it'll probably loosen up, and then I'm gonna add some more grease in that grease fitting. But now when I turn the engine with the clutch in, you'll see that the gears stay where they're at. So it's still in first gear, and with the clutch in, you don't see any movement of the gears now. So that's a good sign. Now we'll go ahead and take it out of first and put it back into neutral. I'm able to just take my hand and pop the clutch back up. So it's moving, it's loosening up. Like I said, it probably just needs to be, the engine just needs to be warmed up and greased, and I think the clutch will come around. So I re-greased the throwout bearing for the clutch, and I've got the clutch pedal free now, and it rebounds on its own. I'll show you here. So go ahead and press the clutch. There you go, pops right back. Works great now. We're getting closer. Let's take a look at the spark plugs that I took out yesterday. So here was our number one. That looks pretty good. That one looks a little rusted, so I'm concerned maybe there was some water down in there at one point. And then that spark plug, it's got that white on there. I wonder, that leads me to believe that maybe there was some antifreeze getting in there and it was burning antifreeze. So possibly a blown head gasket, not a huge deal if we need to change that. And then this number 4 just looks a little bit rich. That's probably the most rich of the cylinders. Not bad. Number one cylinder probably looking the best of all of them. So that's the spark plugs. Let's, here's your valve cover that I took off. I'm currently working on the shifter. I had that, I pulled that out. It was just so rusted, and when we went to pick this up, that's why it wouldn't shift into gear. This was just solid rust in here. So I've been working that back and forth, and that we'll get that to come around. But right now, the engine turns over. You know, we've got a clutch. Looks like we've got a transmission, and now it's just a matter of making sure we get spark. But yep, like I said, I'm working on getting those replacement parts. So for now, I think right now we just wanna pull this carb off and get that cleaned up. I'm gonna start with the fuel line, getting that off. And then we'll pull this carb off and take it to the bench. I will say I really enjoy, this is the first time I've worked on a tractor. I really enjoy it because everything is just right here, right in the wheelhouse. All right, I think it's out. I just need to get it off. All right, so now we're gonna loosen these 1/2-inch nuts at the top. I've had them soaking for a couple days. Came off pretty easily. I noticed something interesting here. Maybe somebody can explain down in the comments, but I've never seen an engine before with where the intake manifold is the same as the exhaust manifold. I'm not sure. Is there like a way that the air is separate from the exhaust? Is it divided in here? I'm not sure. Let me know. Put that down in the comments. You'd think you'd want that separate to keep the cold air, to keep the intake air cold. I guess that wasn't a real thing real big deal on a tractor, but just found that interesting. All right, it seems like it's separated pretty easily. I'm gonna get that clamp off. I might go ahead and disconnect the linkage up here. I think that'd be easier than getting behind the carb. Let's see, we'll bend this pin. I'll get myself some needle nose. come on. There we go. It's pretty rusted in there. I think I broke it. I just broke the head right off. Okay. There we go. Little cotter pins out. And of course that pin is rusted in. Yeah, maybe it is easier to take it off from this side. There we go. Okay, let's see here. All right, what do we got? Okay, I got the carb pulled off. Now if I could just see. Okay, there's another pin holding this guy in. Yeah, I don't think this carburetor has been off of here in a long, long time. There we go. Come on now. All right. Okay, got the carb off. Let's take it up to the bench. I have the carb up on the bench. We've got it in here. We're gonna pop that old hose off. There's 4 screws on the bottom. I'm assuming you've got your float in here. Oh boy. Oh, no, we got him. Look at that. A couple taps with the hammer and it came apart. And yeah, wow, there hasn't been gas in there for probably 30 years. And okay, so that's pretty much, it's real simple. And then we've got our float, which seems to be in fairly good shape. So we'll pull this float pin out, and then we'll be able to see our what looks like the main jet. All right, so get this pin out of here. Oh, come on. There we go. There's our float. Set that aside. Okay. So that is, so I see. So fuel comes in here as the float moves up and down. It moves that needle and allows fuel in. So we'll take that out. And I'm gonna try to remove this so we can clean it really well. Wow, that's actually coming out. Oh yeah, that's plugged up. See, that's the stuff that needs to be cleaned right there. Got an old crusty gasket on here. I'll order a new gasket set. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't work. I mean, once I get everything cleaned up, as long as the float is good, everything else looks fine. I probably need to get in there. that looks clear. That's pretty much everything except for this drain at the bottom. Get that loose. I think this just allows fuel out of the bowl. All right, so this is probably your idle screw adjustment. We're gonna pull this out too. Time for the parts cleaner. All right, let's place the carb parts in the cleaner. Make sure our throttle's open to get plenty of water through there. And all this stuff I'll clean on my own. I'll leave the float out, the needles and all that. All right, we've got the main part of the carb in the cleaner. Let's get some power to this thing. We'll see if I can remember how to use it. I think we'll do like 45. We'll set her for 30 minutes. This thing makes an obnoxious noise. Turn the timer on. There we go. All right, the carb's out of the parts cleaner. I've got it soaked down with WD-40. It took a lot of the dirt off. I mean, you can see how clean that arm there is. That looks pretty good, but of course it's not gonna take the rust off. But yeah, a lot of the dirt. Now I've got it soaking. I think what I'm gonna do, because there's a lot of rust inside that bowl, I don't want gas getting in there and then the rust kind of flaking off. So what I'm gonna try to do is use a little wire brush, something like this with the Dremel, and we'll go in there and just clean that up really, really well. In all, like the passages and up here, anywhere like fuel comes in contact, and then that way we get clean gas into the engine. I'm trying to clean the glass fuel bowl there. It's pretty nasty. So we're just going ahead and cleaning the gasket surfaces. I ran them on the wire wheel, and now I'm just using some sandpaper to clean them up. And then I think I'll take the Dremel, just kind of clean any of these areas where gas is gonna float, especially in here. There's just a lot of debris in there, but other than that, I've got the new gasket kit. So we'll be getting this thing back together here shortly. So we've got the carb completely cleaned up. All the surfaces are cleaned up. We went and blew compressed air through all the passages, so everything seems to be flowing. I noticed there's a little jet there that was completely clogged. And then there's one there. After I cleaned this thing up, I saw it. I didn't take them out, I just blew them out with compressed air, and I could tell there's air flowing through them. And I also cleaned up the bowl in here with the Dremel. I don't want that gas getting contaminated when it goes in there. So now we're ready to put on our new gaskets and get this thing back on the tractor. We're getting our carburetor back together. I've got the float on. The new gasket needle and the seat down there are installed. I've got that jet cleaned out. Now we're ready to go ahead and put the two halves back together. All right, let's go ahead and get this carb back on. I removed the fuel line, so that's out of our way. Get the throttle linkage put back in. Our new gasket. There we go. Yeah, so for the fuel line, right now there's a solid fuel line that I took off and I cleaned it. And you can see under here, I cleaned that glass bowl. Fuel line attaches here and attaches over here. But I think I want to run a rubber line in here so I could add a filter. Well, we run it for a while at least. In the beginning, this gas tank is so rusty, so I'd like to catch a lot of that rust before it enters the carb. I don't know how much I trust that. I think it'll catch some stuff, but it'd be nice to have an inline filter. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take this magneto off. I've got the cap off, the rotor off, the front here where the points are. And there was 2 bolts that hold it on. We'll just go ahead and pull that off. And I've got all the parts. I've got some of the parts right now, but I've got most of the parts to rebuild it. Here's the plate that goes on the front. That's where your rotor goes. And then the cap, and this is the top, goes up with a coil. Here's all my new parts. Got a new cap, new wires, new rotor, and a set of spark plugs. And I'm just waiting on, and there's a new capacitor in here. I'm just waiting on my coil. So we're gonna clean that up, all new gaskets and coil, and we'll be good to go there. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. We did a lot of work on the 1945 Farmall Tractor. We're that much closer to getting it running. There's only a few more things I want to do. We've got to get that magneto rebuilt, the oil changed, and get a battery hooked in and some minimal wiring, and I think it'll be ready to run. Thanks for watching. Come back for the next one.